Yomassage is revolutionizing the massage profession by integrating massage, restorative stretch, and guided meditation into small group sessions. Their 25-hour online certification program, led by a master trainer, enables massage therapists to become certified Yomassage practitioners. This program also teaches powerful mind-body connection techniques and trauma-informed principles to enhance your massage practice. Visit yomassage.com to register. ABMP podcast listeners receive 20% off online courses with the code ABMP20.
Welcome to Business or Pressure, taking the pain out of massage business with me, Allissa Haines. This is your no-nonsense guide to building a happy, sustainable massage therapy business. It is my mission to make sure that every massage therapist and body worker has the tools to make a living wage in a thriving business, so let's jump in. Today, we are going to talk about phone lines, and does your business need its own separate phone number? Many of us started up our little individual massage businesses with just using our own cell phone number and our own cell phone device. 20 years ago, when I started doing massage, the option was to get an actual landline into your office or get a second cell phone device and have a separate business phone number, or use your personal cell number. They weren't great options at the time. I chose to use my personal cell number and kept on doing so for a long time. Legally and ethically, no, you do not need a separate phone number. You can use your regular cell number. But there are a whole bunch of other options out there that weren't there 20 years ago. And there's a whole bunch of reasons you might want to have a separate business phone number nowadays. So let's talk through some of these factors. You can be like me. You can use your regular cell number. But it does invade your personal life a little bit. And having a separate number allows you to keep your personal life personal. It allows you to keep your cell number a little more private, a little easier to scrub it off the internet so people aren't connecting your phone number to your personal name or personal home address. Having a separate business number also allows you to customize your outgoing voicemail message. This doesn't seem like a big issue initially, but as you get a little busier and if you add a website or online scheduling, oftentimes you want your outgoing voicemail to say things like, you can schedule online at, and put your website. But you find that those outgoing messages tend to get a little bit longer. And then you realize if you are combining your personal and business phone that your dentist, when they call to reschedule your appointment, has to listen to your business outgoing message. Or you can keep it real simple and just say, you can leave a message for Allissa here. But then people who are calling for business reasons don't always know for certain if they are calling your business number or not. And that can get a little bit tricky and feel a little bit weird. So if you have separate numbers, your personal outgoing message can say, hey, you've reached Allissa, leave a message, although no one ever leaves a message on my personal phone. And then on your business number, you can have the outgoing message that says, hey, you've reached Haines Massage. Thanks for calling. I can't answer my phone, but leave a message and I'll get back to you. And if you want to schedule an appointment, you can do this, this, and this, or whatever you want. You can even tell people to not leave a voicemail message because you don't do phones, whatever. You get to set your business boundaries, and it's a lot easier to do if you have a separate phone number. It allows you to keep that professional branding consistent and not annoy people in your personal life. Having that separate business number also allows you to be really strict about your business hour boundaries. Most of us keep our personal mobile phone device near us most of the time, and we pay attention to it most of the time during our personal lives. With a business number and a separate number that routes into a separate app, we can set real clear business hours and only respond to business texts and incoming calls during those business hours if we want. And if those calls are going into a separate app, it's a lot easier to observe those boundaries. It lets us keep business calls separate so that we don't need to respond if we're outside of a business hour or we just don't want to. And likewise, it allows us to screen calls more effectively. When you know an unknown call or text is coming into your personal line, you may react differently or choose to respond differently than if it's coming into your business line. Also, big picture, if your business grows and you end up renting to other people or managing other people and their schedules, you really want a phone number that you can have someone else check on. So if you're using a second business number, then you can reroute those incoming calls or have someone else check those incoming text messages or voicemails. It also allows you to be able to go on vacation and know that somebody else is going to check all those messages and handle that stuff. If your whole business, including managing other employees, is happening on your personal phone number, it makes it real hard to take a sick day or a vacation day and know that everything is still handled. So, how do you do this? You could have a whole other separate phone or device or landline, but that's not super practical and it might not be necessary. If you have an office where you're managing other people, then yeah, it might make sense to have a separate phone device and phone number, maybe even a landline. Whew, craziness. But if it's just you or it's a very small situation, you can have a second phone number into your device via an app. And then you can choose to interact with any incoming calls or messages only during business hours or whatever you want. You can also make phone calls and send texts from within that app, and that will come through as being from your business number. And most of these options for second phone numbers coming into the same device also have the option to have your texts and messages emailed to someone as well. So if you are not attached to your device or you just want to have that written record of things, messages can be emailed to you. And that's a nice little backup and alert. So if you actually want to do this, there are some options. You can check with your cell carrier because some cell carriers will allow you to do something called a dual SIM or additional eSIM, and you can have a second phone number come right into that same device. And you can see if your cell carrier offers this and what it looks like and the pricing on that. The most common second phone line option I see is Google Voice, which could be free if it's attached to a free personal account that ends in @gmail.com. Or if you're using Google Workspace already for your business and you have a custom domain, it could be $10 a month. And there's higher price plans as well. But depending on your Google setup, it can be free or $10 a month. And I'll put the link to Google Voice in the show notes. All the resource links are in the show notes. The next most common option is a company called Sideline. Similar to Google Voice, same concept. It all happens within an app, and that's $15 a month. And they've got deals if you do 6 or 12 months at a time. And if you hate all those options, there's also one called Linked Phone, $15 a month. Check out the features of a few options, see what makes sense for you, and set it up. Tends to not be hard. It all happens within an app. You just got to experiment and embrace the learning curve and figure that out. Now, as far as tax implications, and I just want to reiterate, I am not a tax preparer or CPA. This is not tax advice. You should totally talk to your tax preparer about how to manage this. I see a lot of people who just automatically, they use their personal cell phone and their personal number for business purposes, and they pay that bill via their business account and claim that full bill as a business deduction. That might not be super correct. If you're using the same device and phone line, you can deduct a portion of your primary cell and phone plan based on the percentage of personal use versus business use of the phone. If you're using a secondary program like Sideline or Google Voice, and you're using it just for business, you can certainly deduct the cost of that software and that service. The actual price of your phone and the phone plan, again, it could be based on a percentage. I have a reference article about this that is linked in the show notes, but this is something you should talk to your tax preparer about. So if you've just been automatically deducting the whole cost of your phone and the line and all of that, you may want to have a conversation about what is actually supposed to happen. And my final note here, if I could go back in time, 20 years when I started up, and use a second phone number for my business, I would absolutely do that. But at this point, after 20 years, for me, the work involved in separating my personal stuff and my business stuff and having every doctor's office and personal connection I've ever known update my phone number, or trying to have every client I've ever known update my phone number, feels to me like a gargantuan and unnecessary task for the number of years I have left in my business. I also don't have too much of a problem with business boundaries. I have no problem ignoring a client text for a couple of days if they know it's outside of my business hours, or I have no problem shooting back a response that says, wanted to let you know I got this text, but I am going to respond to you when I'm back in the office on Monday. And I have a good system for setting up reminders so that I don't forget to get back to them. So for me, I'm not doing it. I'm just going to keep everything in the one phone number that it's on and then probably go off the grid when I retire. But if I was starting a business today, or if I only had a few years under my belt in business building, I would absolutely get a second number and use it just for business. I think it's a good boundary. I think it's just good business skills. I think privacy-wise nowadays, it's really, really good to do that. But you get to make your own decisions, and now you have the options to do so. All right, today's high five goes to my friend Michael Reynolds, because he was one of the first people earlier this year to warn me that as an LLC, there are new reporting requirements for small businesses. So if you have an LLC and you have not done this already, you're going to want to check out the resource again in the show notes, abmp.com/podcast, because if you have an LLC, you have to report your ownership information to something called FinCEN, which is the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. This is happening because they are trying to stop malicious individuals from using companies as a facade for illegal activities. If you've had an LLC for a while, like since before January 2024, you have until January 1st, 2025. So you have the rest of this year to fill out this form. If you're a new LLC, you probably already did this within the 90 days you filed and created your LLC. Moving forward, if you create an LLC in the future, you're going to have 30 days to do this. Don't stress out if this all sounds confusing. Michael has done a really good job of just laying out the information and the steps. Just do it. There's a compliance guide, which you probably won't even need to read through. You just need to go and create an ID with FinCEN and then file a beneficial ownership information report. Take you about 15 minutes, will only annoy you a little bit, and you'll be all set. So thank you, Michael, for putting out useful information about that is not so terrifying and scary. If you have a question about running your business or you have an idea for an episode, I want to hear about it. You can reach out via email at businessorpressure@abmp.com. You can also find me over at deepbreathdigital.com doing all my work with massage therapists. And make sure that you're subscribed to ABMP's podcast so you don't miss anything. There is so much to learn about building and maintaining a massage business. We're going to cover all of it. I will meet you right here for the next episode. I can't wait.